My envious sister shamed me at school, smirking, "You'll always be just a faint shadow." Then she sent her boyfriend to teach me a lesson. He broke my face in the locker room. She thought I'd keep quiet. But the next time they saw me, they regretted it. "Greetings, dear audience, I'm Sophia." And if you asked anyone at Ridgewood High who I was, they'd likely pause, rub their chin, and say, "Oh, Emma's sister, right." That was me. Always Emma's sister. Never just Sophia. Emma was the star, the kind of girl who drew eyes effortlessly. She strutted through the corridors like she owned them. Her hair always fell perfectly, her nails flawless, her friends buzzing around her like eager fans, and her boyfriend, Jake, the textbook high school stereotype. Tall, arrogant, star athlete, far too accustomed to getting his way. Me. 2 years younger, reserved, sharper, but never recognized for it. I kept to myself, spent lunch periods in the library, and never meshed with the clique she dominated. At home, it was much the same. Our parents never said it outright, but it was clear. Emma's achievements were displayed proudly on the walls, while my successes, debate club, perfect grades, a national science award, were buried under stacks of bills on the kitchen table. I didn't hold it against her at first. I figured we were just different. Some people thrive in the limelight. I was fine in the background until the background started choking me. The real change came in my sophomore year. That's when I learned what it felt like to be deliberately erased. It began subtly. Emma would scoff at me in public, tease me in front of her friends with typical sibling jabs. Stop being such a weirdo. But then it spilled into school. In the hallways, in front of my peers, in front of teachers. "She's just a shadow," she quipped during a group project we were assigned together. Barely there unless I pull her into focus. Everyone chuckled. Except me. After that, her friends caught on. They started calling me Shadow in the halls, sharing subtle jabs on social media I wasn't tagged in but were clearly aimed at me. "Some people are just born to fade," one post read, with a blurry snapshot of me crossing the courtyard in the background. I confronted Emma one evening after dinner. "Why are you doing this?" I demanded. She barely glanced up from her phone. "I'm not doing anything. You're just too dull to handle it." My pulse raced, waiting for her to crack, to admit it stemmed from envy or insecurity or anything human. But she didn't. She just walked off, tossing her hair, giggling like I was the punchline. Then came Jake. At first, he barely noticed me, hardly sparing a glance when we passed. But once the Shadow nickname stuck, he joined in. It started with accidental shoves in the hall. Then came notes slipped into my locker, scribbled on torn paper. "Maybe if you tried harder, people might see you. Shadow girl now in focus, or not." I kept everyone. Why? I'm not sure. Maybe I thought proof would make someone believe me. But when I showed a note to a teacher, she brushed it off as harmless teasing. Harmless. That word burned in my chest for weeks. Things reached a breaking point when I spotted Jake at a party in the parking lot with another girl. I wasn't even supposed to be there. My friend Mia had pleaded with me to come just for an hour. "You never go out. Please, just one night." I went. While heading to the bathroom behind the house, I saw Jake, his arm around a junior's waist, kissing her like he didn't have a girlfriend. I snapped a photo, not out of spite, but because I knew no one would believe me otherwise. The next day, I showed it to Emma. She stared at it, blinked, then said, "Delete it. He's cheating on you." She fixed me with an icy stare. "You think I don't know?" I was stunned. "He does what he wants," she said, "because he's loyal to me in public. That's what counts." I was speechless. She stepped closer. "If you breathe a word about this, you'll regret it." I didn't tell anyone directly. But Mia saw the photo on my phone later. She told Sarah. Sarah told Ethan. Within days, half the school knew. Emma, she traced it back to me. So when she cornered me at school and hissed, "You'll always be a shadow," it wasn't just her ego speaking. It was a warning, and I knew it wasn't over. The day it happened, I felt it in my gut. Gym class had just ended, and everyone was leaving early for a pep rally. I stayed behind to grab my notebook, my one true refuge in that place. I was alone in the locker room when the door creaked open. Jake. His eyes were too steady, his steps too deliberate. "Emma doesn't like tattletales," he said. My blood froze. I didn't before I could finish. He slammed me against the locker. Pain seared through my face like fire. I tasted blood. My vision swam. I collapsed. Then everything went dark. I woke up in a hospital bed. Jaw wired shut, nose shattered, cheekbone cracked. My mom was sobbing, my dad shouting into his phone. And Emma. She was holding my hand. "Sophie," she whispered, "I didn't know he'd actually hurt you. I just wanted to scare you." My eyes burned with tears I couldn't shed. Even then, she was painting herself as the victim. The police came. I told them everything, the notes, the photo, the details. Jake was arrested. But Emma, she walked free, smiling for the cameras, posting online. Sometimes families face tough challenges. Healing takes time. I stared at that post from my hospital bed for weeks, and I made a choice. I wasn't going to vanish anymore. Returning to school wasn't about courage. It was survival. Every moment in those halls felt like standing under a spotlight I never wanted. But I walked in anyway, head high, bruises fading but still visible. My cheeks still throbbed faintly. The scar was small but undeniable. And good. I wanted them to see it. Because what Emma and Jake didn't realize was that they didn't just scar my face. They ignited something inside me that had been dormant too long. On my first day back, the hallways parted like I was a force of nature. Students stared, unsure if I was fragile or dangerous. A few offered quiet welcomes. One teacher awkwardly patted my shoulder like I'd survived a war. But no one said what they were thinking. This school wasn't used to facing consequences. Emma avoided my gaze in the halls, the cafeteria, even in class. She acted like I didn't exist, just as she'd always wanted. But I saw the fear in her eyes when she thought I wasn't watching. That spark of panic, of losing control, because I wasn't just back, I was ready to speak. The legal process dragged on. Jake's family hired a sharp lawyer who called it a teenage scuffle, a locker room mix-up. The school tried to stay neutral, unwilling to admit they'd let it spiral this far. But they couldn't ignore the evidence I'd gathered, screenshots of anonymous bullying accounts, recordings from students who'd overheard threats, the old notes Jake had left. I'd built a case quietly, methodically, and I wasn't alone anymore. Within a month, 5 other students shared their stories, boys and girls. Emma's social circle cracked under the weight, her former allies stepping back from the fallout. Some stayed silent. A few reached out to me privately. One message from a junior girl read, "Thank you for speaking up. He hurt me too, just not with fists." I cried reading it, not from sorrow, but because I wasn't alone. And I never would be again. At the hearing, I wore black not for mourning, but to look strong, composed, in control. I pulled my hair back, letting the scar show. No makeup, no pretense. When I entered the courtroom, Jake sat there, face blank, jaw tight. He didn't look at me. He didn't look at anyone. But Emma did. She sat behind him, arms crossed, face tense. Her hair was flawless, her nails polished, her expression the same polished mask she wore at school, as if everything was fine even as lives unraveled around her. She wasn't charged, but she knew what she'd done. And for the first time, she couldn't control the story. There were too many eyes, too many truths. My testimony wasn't easy. They asked about the incident. I laid it all bare. Every taunt, every note, every moment I felt crushed under their power. I described how Emma laughed as her boyfriend shattered my confidence, then my face. I explained how silence was weaponized, how fear kept me quiet until it broke me. Jurors shifted uncomfortably. One older woman wiped a tear. Jake's lawyer tried to spin it as a misunderstanding, a school fight gone too far. But the evidence was undeniable. No bruises on him, no signs of a struggle, just me broken, hospitalized, and worst of all, he didn't even blink when I described the pain. He didn't care. 2 hours later, the verdict came: guilty, aggravated assault, sentencing pending. His future, the athletic scholarship, the college path, the polished charm, gone. He said nothing. But Emma did. As I stepped into the hallway, she followed. "Sophia," she called. I turned slowly, still trying to save face, her jaw clenched. "You didn't have to destroy his life." I blinked. "He destroyed mine first." She scoffed. "You think you're so tough now?" "No," I said evenly. "I've always been tough. You just never noticed because I didn't shout." She stepped closer. "You made me look like a villain. You did that yourself." That silenced her. She stared, torn between anger and tears, but instead she turned and walked away, for once not dictating the ending. The months that followed weren't a fairy tale. Trauma doesn't vanish overnight, but they were mine. I started writing essays, poems, even pieces about bullying and sibling rivalry. I got published in the school newspaper, then a youth mental health blog, then a national platform picked it up. The headline: "The Shadow Who Spoke." How my sister's silence nearly ended me. It spread widely. People reached out. Teachers asked me to speak. Counselors used my story in workshops, and students. They stopped calling me Emma's sister. They called me Sophia. As for Emma, she finished the year quietly, her reputation in pieces. Most of her old friends drifted away. Her college offers were rescinded, not because of me, but because word spreads fast. Her perfect online persona crumbled. She begged our parents to homeschool her final year. They agreed. I didn't object. I didn't need vengeance. I had the truth. They say revenge is loud, but I learned healing can be louder. I didn't fight back with violence or rage. I fought with evidence, with courage, with a truth they never expected. They wanted me to stay a shadow. But now, I'm the sharpest image they'll never erase. And the next time they see me, they'll know silence wasn't weakness. It was the calm before the truth struck.